Peace, power, and presence to you watching. Now, one thing I've come to understand and realize is that we are not our performance, and nor are we our image. And if you've been living from a space of performing, then you are most likely exhausted mentally. And so the idea of BOYT, B-O-Y-T, meaning be on your truth. It is not a slogan, it is not a branding, it is not even a motivational tactic, it is a responsibility. Because the moment you decide to live from your truth, you actually give up the protection of that performance. You see, most of us men have been taught to perform strength, and that is by saying the right things, appearing confident, looking composed, and hiding uncertainty. And all of these things get approved in the society that we live in, and they tend to feel safe. And so we build our identities around what gets accepted socially. And then, we become these tags such as the strong one, the calm one, the provider, the leader, the one that doesn't struggle. But there's a problem with all of these things. And if our identities are built around how we are perceived, then we are constantly managing perceptions, which is exhausting. So when you're living from a place of performance, you can feel impressive, you can feel like you're respected and you're admired, but in truth there's no real peace, there's no real understanding, and there is a level of disconnection to your true self within that, because of this image of performance that you've built up. And only being in your truth can create a level of stability that you need, that is true to you. Because performing and maintaining that image, you're gonna need to keep checking in on how you are looking, how you are speaking, how you are perceived, how you're seen outside, and you're keeping on checking in to make sure the image is sustainable and maintained. And in all of that, what is happening is that you are completely and utterly draining yourself of your true energy, and the cost of doing that is that you're losing contact and connection to your true self, because you end up not knowing what you want anymore, you end up not knowing how to feel anymore, you end up not knowing how to behave anymore, because you're performing. And that is purely because you are living from outside in. Now, truth is not being in an emotional chaos, it's internal honesty. And it means that admitting to yourself when you are confused, and admitting when there is a level of fear in you, admitting when you feel like there is limits that you have, admitting when you are uncertain of something, and admitting these things to yourself can feel dangerous, it can feel vulnerable, because you've built up the image of performance which has protected you, and has protected your ego, and has protected your reputation per se. You know what I mean? Although all of these are things that are outwardly projected, the truth is actually exposes your reality. And the paradox in that is that reality stabilizes you. You know, when you admit that, you know, I don't know. When you admit that, you know, I am tired. When you admit that, you know, things are a little bit overwhelming and I'm unsure, you know, you stop the maintaining of the illusion and the reputation of the image, because that maintenance and that illusion is where, you know, you drain your energy and you exhaust it. The thing is, the truth feels risky at first, but ultimately it grounds you for the long term. So I would like you to do something practical, and that is to take a notebook, and in that notebook I would like you to write 3 headings. So the first one is work, the second heading is relationships, and the third heading is self. And under each heading, I want you to write these questions and answer them as honestly as possible under each heading. And so the first question I want you to write is, where am I performing instead of being honest? That's a question 1, and answer that as honestly as possible under each heading. And the second question is, where do I say I am fine when I'm not? The third question is, where do I exaggerate confidence? And the fourth question is, where do I hide discomfort? Now, when you answer these questions, don't judge yourself when you answer them. Just notice them. Just observe them. Because once you start to answer them and see them for the truth, you start to break the illusion of maintenance, of performance. So for the next 7 days, I want you to exercise and practice at least one micro truth a day. You know, and it doesn't have to be dramatic, it doesn't have to be, you know, emotional, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. An example could be, you know, I feel tired today. You know, and being honest and saying that. Or, you know, I need a bit of time to think about things, or think about something, you know, and being honest and saying that. Or I don't agree with this, or, you know, I'm not sure about whatever, you know, and being honest with that. So those are examples of micro truths that you say. And in doing that exercise, you actually start to build your internal alignment, and over time that alignment builds your confidence in becoming and embracing yourself and your truth. And you see, being on your truth doesn't mean becoming emotionally reactive. It just means that you have become more balanced within yourself, meaning that your thoughts, your actions and your words all match, and they're all in alignment. And that's not ego confidence, it's not loud confidence, it's just stable confidence. And so this week I want you to choose one area of your life that you want to stop the performances. And just one area. You don't have to dismantle your whole identity all in one go. You know, you remove one mask at a time and work on that mask. And as it is a work in progress, it's constant evolving and constant learning and constant development. And so BOYT as a mantra, or as a responsibility, being on your truth. And as we know, this truth is a stabilizer, and your identity being shaped by your truth. I would would encourage you to go ahead and